we'll see how massive this file turns out to be. Alrighty. Well, I figured I'm always trying to get people to learn how to do mission making, so I could try and do a couple classes on it if people want to ask questions or just show people how I do it. So that was my thinking on all this.
I appreciate it at least. I looked at the X-Wing Alliance mission creation course, and the notes page is kind of old school, so
Yeah,
I was like, I'll come back to that.
it's one of my to-do things to update it. Master updated this last back in 2005, so it's only
A
20
little
years
while ago.
ago. So it's one of
It was just a couple
those.
years ago.
Maybe this summer I'll do it. I've sort of already started doing it. Oh, I am making a Yogami guide that basically covers the first half of this stuff that Master has in here, but I haven't finished it. So probably when I finish this guide, I'm gonna replace this with links to that guide. But we'll see. Yeah,
All
you
right, and I
should.
know you like Alliance the most, well, besides TIE Fighter Total Conversion, but like, would you recommend starting mission creation in X-Wing Alliance, or if I like TIE Fighter the most, would that, or is it just harder? Is one easier than the other?
I mean, I'm most experienced in Alliance. I mean, Alliance was my first game. I never played TIE Fighter until I joined. So it's the one I'm most comfortable in. And for me, I'm all about storytelling. And in TIE Fighter and Alliance are the two that you can tell a story, in my opinion, because you can do the beginning briefing and the end briefing. But in Alliance, you have a lot more freedom on the fact that you can tell a lot larger of a story. So
Okay.
I like the greater storytelling aspects of Alliance. There is it is easier to a lot of people say it's easier to build than TIE Fighter because it's smaller scale, like you don't have to but you can make Alliance missions that are small too, so I don't know if that's fully true.
Okay.
And
I mean, since they all use the same software,
they all use the
pretty
same
similar to my part, no?
software. They all have they have their own little individual little quirks. And I just like the greater freedom of Alliance. I don't like my hands being tied. So it's one of the reasons why I like Total Conversion. Now, I would not say that Total Conversion is easier than regular Alliance. I will not make that claim. But I do claim that it's not that much more complicated. It has a little bit more upfront legwork, but most of it you can copy and paste. But yeah. So the thing for using total conversion is you need a configuration file for each mission. And what I do is I just copy and paste my last mission and make alterations as I go along. So what I did here is I went to the let's see, I went to the Typhoon's Day Off and I copied the configuration file from the Typhoon's Day Off file and then made its modifications to work for this mission I'm making. So it looks complicated, but you don't have to do crazy advanced stuff like a simpler one for let's say what I did for the adrenaline missions. Like that's the whole size of the configuration file. Like and really the only important bit is right there because that's what lets you use the HD backdrops.
Okay.
So it has this little extra step if you need to copy, you need to have the configuration file, but other than that, nothing really to it for making TIE Fighter total conversion missions, at least basic ones. Now, there's very complicated things you can do with changing the flight characteristics of craft, swapping out craft for different craft, and all those other things. Side loading different capital ships, making you fly different TIE fighters. Those are all things that you can do in TIE Fighter Total Conversion, but I would not recommend anyone starting there. So I recommend everyone who wants to make an Alliance mission, just try making a Total Conversion mission and just basically having the configuration file just be that. Not even that, like you can just have it as that. And that would be enough to get you going on the extra prettiness of TIE Fighter Total Conversion. But I need a little bit more than just that, so that's why I have that. So on the conversion file, what this is doing is this is telling the game to load the pictures I have in these four custom files I made. And you can have them all in one file, but I like for organization to make them split out. And how I have them organized is it tells me what the backdrop number is, the first 2 digits, and the second 2 digits is what shadow it is. So that just tells me that I'm calling out my custom backdrop 14 shadow 0, custom backdrop 14 shadow 1. It's just how I organize it. And then this is calling out the built-in HD backdrops, mostly made by Ilos. So that just tells the game to load those.
All right, I know you're just kind of maybe showing me random stuff here, but like I just want to be clear. The first 2 numbers were the backdrop, but on your application you've got backdrop number 8. So is that not going to be matching?
In this one, it's not matching because I haven't built the mission yet. This was a different mission I was looking at. I
understood that right.
Yep.
Like in this case, your backdrop would be 14 and your shadow would be 0 for that top one.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you want to know what backdrop 14 shadow 0 is, it's that. So here is, it's just a blue and pink nebula. And then 14.
And now do you make that in Blender yourself?
Yeah, I made that in Blender myself.
And then does this wrap around?
And then I made the wraparound versions of it too. So that's what 14, 1, 2, and 3 are the wraparounds. So that's what that is. And then the other things I'll be using in this battle is I'll be using a custom Aurora. Here's our planet, home planet of the Emperor's Hammer there. A custom nebula there for later on in the battle. And then got some more custom nebula for prettiness. And then the surface of Eos, because we'll be going to Aurora. And then here is inside that this nebula. So that's what I'll be using for the battle, but not in this mission. This mission I'm just using 14 through the 0 through 3 shadows of 14. So, all right, I guess I can get going on making a mission.
Yeah, I'll try to keep my questions to a minimum so you can.
No, ask your questions. This is the biggest thing.
If I've got something, I'll ask. But I guess I'm representing everybody, so I got to make sure I make it count.
So I often just start this with copy and pasting, but I decided to make it wholly from scratch for everyone following along from home. So for TFTC, need to have the 1B20M1, and then I'm going to name the file master as my main thing. Just complain about normal stuff. Alrighty, turn that off. Alrighty. So how I start making my missions, just so that you know and for everyone listening, is I first come up with ideas for what kind of battles do I want to make. So here's my list of ideas I have working on. Then after I come up with the original, initial idea, like an IS-7 battle, then I start going, okay, what would be the different missions of the IS-7 battle? And then after that, I then expand it to little story blurbs of, okay, what would be the story for mission 1? What would be the story for mission 2? And that's what I tell them. That's how I figure it out. And then I go and write all the words before I do anything in the editor. That's how I work. I like all the words in place first, because it's easier to change things when writing, and I can envision it in my head than here in the editor. So where I will first start when I start making a mission is I like setting up the backdrops. Now, I'll first show how I would set up backdrops if I was just doing it from complete scratch. And then I'll show you how I'm naturally doing this for this one. So first I need to make this one player 1 so that we actually are in the game. And there we go. And then if I was going to be making this from whole cloth, I would hit Tools, apply Super Backdrops to region 1. It'll populate 6 backdrops located in the cardinal directions inside the skybox. But these are the backdrops you'd want if you were doing it in the old version of X-Wing Alliance Upgrade. But we're doing it in total conversion. So we want all 6 of them to be backdrop 55, shadow 5. That is the star field for TIE Fighter total conversion. So you just hold down Shift and select all 6 of them at one time here in Yogami, and then you can make them all shadow 5. Now, I like everything having like a little bit of a nebula in it, so I always grab the one that's in positive Y, which is the 4th one down. I duplicate it, and then I go and change that to be, let's see, it might not load it. Let's see. I might have to save and close the file. Nope, it loaded it. Okay. And then I go and pick a nebula. And I like picking like a color scheme. So what's the color scheme you want to see, Tony?
Blue.
Blue? Alright, does that look like that looks like a nice blue nebula right there. We'll pick that
Good
one.
enough.
And then I'll duplicate that again, but I'll throw it at negative Y and just a tiny bit X just for that, and tiny bit Z. Actually, this is a terrible idea. I am not going in the order I would normally do.
Can you explain these coordinates? Like again, I'm at a disadvantage because I haven't taken the course, but
Okay.
what are the XY coordinates representing?
So, for normal craft, this will tell you where in the region a craft is being spawned. But for backdrops, they are always infinitely far away. So all you care about is relative distance. It's like relative direction. So it's easiest for me in my math engineer brain just think of everything as a unit vector. So and that's what the super backdrops does automatically. So this is saying that this backdrop is in pure positive z direction because z is positive 1, and then this is saying that's in positive and negative z. And this is negative y, positive y, and when by default when you start in the mission you're looking at positive y, and you have negative x to your left. Yeah. So right hand rule. Yep.
Okay, so then why are you taking the one? So you start off with the positive while you're looking at it. Why are you duplicating that one?
So because all these backdrops are, so when the game takes this backdrop here, after it finishes loading, the the positive Y is going to be the center where my mouse is of the image. And
Oh, so this is almost going to be like an overlay of the
it's
backdrop that's
going
already
to be an
there.
overlay. And these
Okay.
nebula ones, these wraparound ones, are so large, they're nearly 9,000 pixels wide, that they wrap around the entire skybox.
Okay.
And I always just take the positive Y because I tend to just have the player start looking at Y. And I don't want the player to be looking at the seam if I can avoid it. Now
No, that makes sense. It's
this
like a
nebula
true
you won't
skybox.
really notice the seam because it isn't solid. But like when you see like my planetary backdrops, you can sometimes see a slight seam. So that's why I always pick positive Y. And then, so we're doing blue. So let's place a planet here in this region that we're going to be in. So
This will be like another overlay. So like in the back, you're going to have like the black, and then in front of that would be like the nebula, and then in front of that would be the planet.
yep. So this looks like a nice blue planet. So we'll go with that one. And I like to look at how the shadow is on it, so I can position the sun realistically in it. So this looks like the sun should be off to its right, but a little bit behind us for the shadow casting when we're looking at it. So let's say we want that planet to be directly in front of us when we're coming into the area. So that's why I would have it at positive Y. But now we want a sun off to the right, so positive X, and a little bit behind us and slightly negative. So I would just grab any backdrop just to save myself not having to select a backdrop. And let's go put a blue sun in, just to keep the color scheme going. Go down here to the bottom of the backdrops and pick a blue star. So here in Yogami, you'll see I'm hovering the mouse, and you see the little color swatch here changing around. So that's telling me what color. That's telling me what color is directly underneath my mouse. And the cool thing is, so I can just click this light blue spot right here, and that will save that color information to my clipboard. Because how you tell the game what color the light should be is putting in that color information and then saying that sun is 0.8 bright, and that'd be way too big of a sun. 0.2. So now I just said that sun should be a pretty small dot, but it should be pretty bright, and it should have a mostly blue color. And I'm going to put it off to the right, so positive X, but slightly behind the player, just ever so slightly. So negative 0.1 Y. And ever so slightly up, because I felt like the shadow was slightly up, but we can adjust that here in a moment. And now that I've done that, I can hit save, and either we can go into the mission and fly it, or since we're playing around in Total Conversion, we can go to the tool package from the Total Conversion folks and launch Backdrop Previewer. And we can see generally how that sun is located relative to that planet there. And looks like I guessed wrong. I need to have the sun a little bit low, not a little bit high. And a little bit further back. So I will make those adjustments. And make it 0.25 back. Save. And now that I'm happy with that, I'll just go to Tools and Test. And
Alright,
go
let's get
into
serious.
The master plan. A routine.
go into the mission and see what it looks like in person. So there we got the little blue sun shining on the planet. And a nice pretty backdrop for us to fly in. Simple as that. And I just go through and do that for every single region I'm going to use in a mission. So that's how I would do it. Normally. But in this situation, for this mission, I've already made the region for another mission, for another battle. So what I'm going to do is show a different way of doing it. In my Typhoon's Day Off, the very first Typhoon's Day Off. What? Oh, that's the ionite. Oh. I opened up the wrong thing by accident. 1 B20 and 1 underscore Typhoon's Day Off. And you gotta be careful not to click the INI, but to click the TIE file. Otherwise, it has no idea what you're doing. So, I know, because I made it before, that I want Region 1 from this mission in my new battle, in my new mission. So, I can use Yogami to make that easy. So I go to Tools, FG Library, and that pulls up a window here where I can select these. I can look. So what I did here in Yogami was I was able to filter for Region 1, for a particular region. And I know that I want Region 1 because Region 1 is the planet from 2023's Raise the Flag. And that's what I want for this mission. So now I know that I want up to that backdrop. And those, just highlight them, again holding shift to make it so I can select all of them real quickly, and moving that over into the library over here. Actually, I really should do this differently. You don't have to do this bit, but I'm doing this because let's see, this is XC, what's it called, XC 50E391, rename, alright. Now I can find it later if I want, without having to go into this battle each time. Alright, and then I want Kappa through Tempest copied over as well. It'll make it so we have a little life going on in the region. Alrighty. So this is now saved these flight groups and their orientations over inside this extra file, which this file is mobile and can go between any mission you're working on. So now I could just delete all those, and I can click the library here, and I can go click on my XC5039-1, and I can copy over all the flight groups from that other mission. And now I've already made my region without having to work at it, because I've already done the work. I'll fix that here in a moment. So now, if I hit save now, let me just make sure my craft is not going to be inside another craft. Should not be. All right. Now when I go to test, now I have a backdrop that the background I already built for that other mission. all the work done already because I did it for
And in
another.
this case, those
Huh?
ships are not actual. Those ships aren't actually ships here. Those are those backdrops.
Sorry, could you repeat that question, Tony?
Those ships aren't actual like ships. They're just backdrops.
Oh no, those are the actual ships. So you can do the
Okay.
I copied not just the backdrops, but I also copied the different craft. There will also be some fighters flying patrol.
Okay.
So yeah. And all these fighters should have the custom crests attached to them. Let's see. Yep. Epsilon's got their stuff on. Yep, everyone's wearing their livery. You've got some Tempest guys in here. Alrighty. Everyone's got their finery on. Except for me, because I don't have the right craft. I need to be in a tight advance for me to be showing up how I need to be showing up. And we launch from the challenge. So, what I just did here is I quickly changed what craft type I was to tight advance because I'm flying as myself. Lieutenant Commander. Just gonna make it Lieutenant Commander Fell. And do that. So, and then I will make Master join me. I'll make myself a wingman. Give him ASAI. Back then he was in Flight 3. And he will be in this flight group. And waypoint. Make Master a little bit behind. And to the side of me. But actually, where's the challenge? There's the challenge. We should be coming out of the challenge, not just in random space. So that's what we'll do. And it looks like the challenge is tilted over by a certain amount. Alrighty. So tilt this over 45 degrees.
This might be covered in the course, but can you explain all those coordinates?
Okay, yeah. So what I'm using the map tool to quickly position craft where I wanted them to be. So using this map tool, I can see where the challenge is right here. So this is the ISD challenge. And here is the player, me. And I want to position myself to as if I just came out of the hangar, which is the white area on the challenge. So I'm going to do that. And I want my wingman to be coming out just behind me and to my right. So I'm doing that. And then using the top-down view to make sure we're coming out good. And we are. So then I didn't like the fact that we were pointing still straight up on this map, whereas the challenge is flying off to the right. So I went here and I adjusted what angle we are. I could have done this a different way. I could have set a waypoint for the first waypoint, and that's probably what's going to happen eventually. But for right now, I just set it as a particular angle that we start at. And then I'm going to him orders to escort the player so that he just sticks by our side no matter what we're doing. And then give the player Hyper Region 1 as an order, and I'll show you why in a moment. So here's a confusing thing, is that Yogami at times does the index notation of 0 being the start of the index, but it displays it as non-index notation. So 0 is actually region 1, 1 is region 2, 2 is region 3, and 4 is region 4. So it can be a little bit confusing, that. But, so, that is what's going on with that. So after I've made my backdrops when I'm making a mission, I then copy over all the text, because I like having all my text in place. So, let's see. Where did I say what did I say that the name of this region was? This region is so here I'm setting the name of the region for the hyperbuoys so that it's as if this is what the computer will be telling us that we're supposed to be doing. And then we were supposed to be going to P31. Oh yeah, I was being cute and did pi for the numbering I did. I remember that now. Oh well. And then now I'm just going to copy in the text I already wrote for the briefings. And let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've made Typhoon Squadron, Phantom Squadron for emblems purposes. Just, I don't know particularly why it's Phantom Squadron. It's Master chose that back in the day, and I've just rolled with it. Don't really have any losing briefing yet. I'll need to write that later. Alrighty. Copy that over. Copy that over. That over. Copy that over. Alright. Let's save on that bad boy. Alright, we are HTI core, and our enemies will be drones in this mission, and radio messages. It's going to be all us talking, so red. I like a delay of 3 seconds, or actually 5 seconds. I'll show you why here in a moment. And then, so here is, I like my radio messages tied to each other. Instead of trying to time them, I like to time them off of the previous radio message. I feel like it works better for making sure everything is how I want it to be. Let's see, I'm going to need 35 for this mission. Alrighty. So now I got 35 radio messages all populated. Copy. And just start copying it in right now. This is the really riveting part of making a mission. A lot of copy and paste. See where the let's split the text there. So what happened right there was my sentence was too long for the 68 character limit of the radio messages, so I had to split it across two different messages. I'll have to do it again here on this one. So what I just end up doing is I just copy the whole message in, even though I know it's going to be too long, and then I click off of it, and then it'll be truncated down to the 68 characters. And then I can
I wish it
go.
would, when you
So,
paste it, I wish it would just tell you right away.
so then I can just see
Having
where
to
it
click off and
clips.
go back.
Yeah, if you're typing it, it will stop letting you type, but if you're pasting, it won't stop you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, yeah, if I was typing, it would let me know. So let's see, like, where I need to go. Okay, we're gonna split the text there. I feel like that would be a more natural spot for the line to split. So another thing you might notice is I don't have any periods at the end of things. That's because X-Wing Alliance automatically adds periods to the end of messages. So you don't have to use one of your 68 characters for your period.
So if you enter the question mark, will it add a period?
Nope. If it has a question mark or an exclamation point or a period itself or 3 dots, it will not add anything. But if it's just nothing, it'll add a period. It's like the programmers did not want anyone not punctuating their sentences. But probably what it is they knew that they had a hard-coded limit they could only put 68 characters in. So to save everyone that one character of a period, they just hard-coded it in that they would do it. So that's probably what happened. So this one, so that one does so Striker's orders and do that. Me being a little bit petulant to master. Yeah, this is the really riveting part, but it's what you gotta do it.
You know, I always appreciate dialogue because otherwise you're just doing nothing.
Oh yeah. I do not like missions with very little radio. That's why I have a hard time with TIE, because usually when I'm flying in the mission, I'm too focused on what I'm doing, and I don't read the little messages flying across the top. And
That's
then
why
I'm
I like
like,
TIE, because you can just hit the log and you can like pause and see what's been said and go back. And
but see, I like X-Wing Alliance because when I have a clear moment, I can just look to my left and read the messages without having to pause the gameplay. So, But what I really like is when there's audio, so then you don't have to even be reading it. You can just listen to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I really like.
Well, as long as we both hate X-Wing versus TIE Fighter.
Yeah. Yeah, I do not like... I mean, I like X-Wing versus TIE Fighter and the fact that the log is persistent up at the top, which is what I like. But I despise the lack of storytelling that you really can do in it. Like, the fact that it has no end briefing makes it very limited from a storytelling point of view. Unless you're really skilled at it, at making the missions. Like, Frodo missions, even without that end briefing, he somehow manages to tell a story. But most others I've flown, not so true. And it makes it boring. At least for me. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, and like I know with yours, the ones you use like AI voices on, like I'd prefer that over nothing. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's not the greatest, but it's better than nothing.
yeah. I've been moving away from it. You'll hear some AI voices in this one because I'm still waiting on Master to send in his lines. And Stryker says he can't do it, and I'm having someone else record lines for him. They haven't sent in lines for him yet either. So I have AIs for Stryker and Master at the moment, just so I have something to be making my missions with. And I'm going to save that before I undo all my hard work. So, I just copied in all that text. Now what I'm going to do is properly link it all together. So the mission starts. I usually like a little 3-second timer after a mission starts before I start having radio messages fire off. So I get all, let's go on this patrol. And then I like 5-second pause between different speakers, at least 5 seconds. For some reason, it just feels most natural to me. So let me link these properly. So what I did, again, just click the top, held down shift to select all the messages. And see, because I copied that one message, they're all tied to message 1 right now so what this is saying is when after message 1 is displayed, 5 seconds after that, display this message. Well, I now have 34 messages all doing the exact same thing. So I don't want that. I want message 3 to be tied to message 2. So now I just gotta go do that. And again, tediousness. And by selecting all of them, they're all changing along with it as I go, so I always just have to select down one in the list instead of having to scroll. So I'm just holding down Control to make it so I can deselect when I'm selecting. Just normal Windows selecting behavior. One thing to note about Yogami is it has an undo button, but the undo button doesn't do anything. So don't ever try and use it. It's actually in their documentation that the undo button breaks crap, so they turned it off. So I think they intend to fix it one day. So it's aspirational, the undo button. They aspire to one day have the undo button work. But for right now, don't try and use it. Alrighty. Now, all these missions are linked to the one above them. And okay, so we got a 5-second pause in between there. And I want a 10-second pause before he starts talking. Again, and not 10 seconds. Let's make it a 7-second. Completely arbitrary. 5 seconds till we start talking there. He's there. Now, I do 3 seconds if it's a continuing line, just because that seems to be how long it takes to read that much out. So 5 seconds, 3 seconds there, because it's a continuing line. This is a really long exchange. This is going to make it slightly annoying what I do back over here. Alright. So now this message, I didn't write a note to myself, but I know that I intend this to be after we get into the new region. So I'm going to change this from the message above to when flight group player arrives in the blue nebula, and make it 3 seconds after you arrive in blue nebula. 5 seconds. 3 sounds good. Alrighty. Okay, so to control this one, this is going to be when I get all the enemy fighters killed. So I need to go set up global groups. So this is explained in this Mission Alliance class, but you have global groups and global units that you can group different craft with. And I'm going to make global group 1, I'm going to name it Typhoon, for it to be me and Master, and global group 2 be Drone Fighters, and global group 3 be Drone Ships. Not sure if I'm going to actually use global group 3, but just in case I want it there. Now back over here. So my message is saying that we've killed all the fighters. So I'm going to say 100% of global group drone fighters are destroyed, then this message will play. Okay. Now I'm going to say, yeah, I don't know exactly what I want to do here. 100% of global group that be, let's see, I wanted to switch teams. I believe that's how I'm going to program this. So this is the bit more complicated of thinking through how I want the mission to flow. So what I want to do is I want to have, so I guess I should explain what I've been making here. In this mission, Master and I are off on a patrol, and he feels the calling of the dark side of the Force, saying that we should go to this one nebula. We get to this nebula, and a bunch of drone fighters attack us. We kill off the drone fighters, and then Master goes and docks with a ship, a medium transport, or actually not medium transport, but a ship. And after he docks with the ship, he captures it, and then we go flying off. So I don't think I want to be captured. I think I'm gonna want. I I don't see switch teams here. So how I'm going to do this is this is a bit more complicated, I will admit. This is where me being extra and complicated comes in. And then make this IFF yellow just so I can see it. So I'm being a little extra here, and making this trigger craft will be what controls when the ship that Master is boarding switches teams to be Imperial. When this trigger craft arrives, when I set up its arrival goals correctly, it'll be what controls when the ship switches to Imperial. But I can also use that to control when this radio message fires. So when flight group trigger arrives, then it will fire off this message. And this one is for after we get back to home. So flight group player arrives in home region. Give it 8 seconds for that to happen. Oh wait, no. Crap. That's not what happened. That's not what it is. This, I forgot what I was doing mission-wise. Nope. This is, I want this to be when global group ships any of have arrived. And then he says, let's leg it. And then this is when we get home. Alrighty. That will be the end of the mission. Alrighty, and then now to link the audio.
Let's get going on this patrol.
All right, kid, on your wing.
And how I name my files, I named them
Feel what?
what the message number will be, just so it's for organizational purposes for me, so I know what message goes with what radio message. This requires me to know ahead of time how it's going to divide, but that's what I do. You also can just be like a normal person and not worry about recording audio until after you've built the mission. Alrighty, so that didn't work, so because it should be a 10, not a 9. That's why.
So now instead of browsing, could you just like copy and paste the previous file name and just change it right in the...
So it actually
Flex?
is. So when I click on this and I click this button, so no, you can't type it in. You can't just copy and paste it here. You have to do this because otherwise it doesn't work right. Because this is actually writing a text file in the background. So how it's doing it. But it leaves selected the last thing that the last file path you put in. So it's not too bad. You also can just manually make this text file yourself instead of having Yogami make the text file. And then you can just copy and paste to your heart's content because you're writing the text file yourself. Unfortunately for everyone watching, this is the most wordy of all the missions for this battle. It is my usual weakness of if I have Master being snarky in a mission, is I tend to let him yammer on. Although I don't think I've mentioned emus once in this entire mission, or this entire battle for that matter, which is unusual for me. We're coming to the end of it. Yeah, so this is what I did yesterday, was get all this audio edited together that I recorded last month. Takes not insignificant amount of time to do the audio. I think audio is a very important thing for the feel of a mission, but it's one thing I definitely do not suggest people do on their first try at something. Like, first make the mission and be happy with the mission before you start messing around with the audio. Important thing, hit the save button. Don't hit close. Hit the save button, otherwise everything is just goes into the ether. Alright, now that file is made, and all that audio will be tied together. Alrighty. Now I get to actually start making the mission. Okay, let's first make region 2. Alright, I will start with applying super backdrops to region 2. But I don't need all of them. I just need Z, negative Z, and positive Y backdrops. And then I need to remind myself, because I never remember, what order do I want them? I want them South Pole, North Pole. Yep. Okay. So I want them Z, negative Z. Yep, I need Z. So that's North Pole, which will be yeah, 14 shadow 1. So now, instead of having to do this search thing, I can just click there, type in 14, say shadow 1. South Pole is going to be 14 shadow 3. Pano is going to be 14 shadow 2. And this reminds me that I actually needed to add another backdrop here to region 1 to add in this distance shot of the nebula. So this needs to be 14 shadow 0. Now waypoint wise, I want it to be positive X. Positive X? Yeah. Okay. Let's take a look. By hitting save, then it saves all those files. And then I can go to, nope, not that one. The backdrop previewer. And preview the backdrops. I forgot about that. We got a planet. So now that nebula is sitting over top of the planet. And that doesn't look good, does it? So, and that's the issue, is that backdrops, each one gets filled in and it's put on top of the ones before. And I put this nebula way down here, which is after all the planet backdrops of these two. Yeah, these two are planet backdrops. Actually, why is that? Anyway, so I need this one to be above, yeah, above those two. Now let's see what it looks like. That looks better, but could be improved. Let's move that nebula up a smidge. And then go back to this thing and reopen the mission. Interesting. Why did it go down? Was I selected on the wrong backdrop when I made that change? That should have gone up, not down. Let's see what it looks like in mission. Because maybe the backdrop editor is just not.
Listen up, we
liking
have.
it.
Let's get going on this patrol.
Got it. Let's get out of here. All right, kid. On your wing.
Nope, that messed everything up.
Hey,
Well,
Jagged. Do you feel that?
Feel
I must be selected on the wrong backdrop. Why did that move? Oh, I'm an idiot. That is the pano. I need to be changing this one to be up by 0.4.
She moved it up, right?
Yep, I was still thinking it was the final one on the list, but it's not the final one on the list anymore. That's better. I like that better. It doesn't need to be that big, though. So, let's make it half as big. That's better. Now, I can go to region 2. And the seams in this preview thing don't really work well. So, I think this is right. Alrighty. I do need to add some light to region 2. So one thing to note is that there's no light here in region 2 because I have not set any lights. So I need to fix that. Now, because of how Yogami works, it's not going to pull up this backdrop that I've been using, that I have in there because of how I have it set up. So,
This is where the conversation in the live stream went off topic, and I have therefore muted the audio to allow me to keep this video on topic. What I was trying to explain here is that while the game engine loads the background files from top to bottom on the configuration file list, Yogami only loads the last file in the list for generating the preview images. As such, with my list the custom nebula backdrop will not appear in the preview, so I can't use it to do the color picker. So, I found another blue nebula backdrop and used it to do the color picker for setting the color of the backdrops. I then set the color of all the nebula directions to the same and gave them a brightness so that there will be light in the region. After that, I set their size to all 1, as that is what is needed to not have a seam using my backdrops here. I then gave orders to the trigger craft so that it wouldn't show as an error when I saved the file. After that, I used the Hyperbuoy wizard to generate hyperbuoys between the first and second regions. And used the map screen to move the buoy out of the center of the area and in front of the player. Then I just tested the mission so I could double check everything was set correctly in the mission. I decided that the nebula didn't look right being on top of the orange overall nebula, so I moved it up in the list so that the orange nebula would display on top of the blue and pink one. Then we got off topic talking about color blindness. Back to the mission. I want to have the player able to fly towards the initial hyperbuoy that disappears when we divert in the mission to follow Master for the whole time that Master and I are having our back and forth in the mission. So first, I needed to determine how many seconds in game time the exchange would take and double check how fast the player could go if they flew straight at the buoy. Also, had a brief aside to tell a new person to the stream what was going on with the custom backdrops. Then started playing around with where to put the buoy to keep it out of reach and where to put the new buoy to the real region too. I set the arrival and departure conditions of the hyperbuoys based off the radio messages that I wanted to be displayed when the character in the mission makes the final decision to follow Master. I tested over and over how I wanted the buoys located to achieve the vision I had for how the mission would flow. Had a brief aside to explain how to become a beta tester and the testing that all missions undergo and explain some of the basics about Yoji Me I talked about earlier. then spent time trying to decide what enemy craft I wanted with some discussion going on about what to use. Ended up using the XWA Tools kit to allow me to quickly look at all the craft models to find a freighter I like the look of. One thing that you see me do often in the video that I never explain is that in YojiMe you can use the keyboard to quickly search all the options in a list via the first letter. If you are looking for a freighter type C, you can open the drop-down menu for the craft and simply hit F over and over, looking at all the craft whose name starts with F. After that, I made sure to set the new craft's global group per my previous decisions on what they should be. Gave the craft a cargo as that is important to the plot. Then use the map to move the enemy freighter away from the entry point into the region so that the player has to fly towards them in the mission. Then added 2 container hangars to launch the enemy drone fighters from, as I didn't want the drone fighters arriving from hyperspace. and 4 flight groups of enemy fighters. I chose the Hutsyke fighters to begin with and gave them orders to escort the freighter. Then added more flight groups of fighters that are not in the enemy global group that are set to arrive never in the mission so that they can be used to hold the container hangars in the area using a waiting for launch order. As they both will have flight groups that will never launch, they will never move out of the waiting for launch order. I then started to give the actual enemy fighters orders to attack me and Master after a certain radio message plays and started to add the orders to the freighter to hyper to Region 1 after it is captured. Then gave circle orders to the fighters and arranged them around the freighter so they wouldn't hit it while they flew but would not look static when the player arrives in the region. You can copy the waypoints for an order using the copy button in YojiMe and then go to the other flight groups and paste them in using the paste button. Then I used the map screen to move the points so that the fighters would not follow exactly the same paths, to look more natural. I set the number of loops a flight group would do to 255 as that is the maximum allowed in the game. And then checked using the map how long the editor thinks it will take the fighters to do one circle. I then multiplied that B255 to check how long the player has to arrive in the region and start the fight before the fighters would all just go home, ending the mission in a failure. Works out to over 2.5 hours. Then I added a new copy of Master for Region 2. I did this so that I 1. Had more control over the behavior of the flight group in Region 2 as you have the most positional and order control of a craft in their original spawn region. And 2. You can sometimes get issues of the player and the AI craft hitting each other coming out of hyperspace and I wanted to avoid that. Then I removed Master from the player's global unit as I do not want the player able to order him home in the mission as that would break the narrative of the mission. Then I placed a pair of buoys to take the player back to the first region and play tested. At this point, everyone else dropped off the live stream, so I turned the sound back on the game for myself.
Let's get going on this patrol.
All right, kid, on your wing. Hey, Jagged, do you feel that?
Feel what?
That nebula to the right of our heading, the blue and pink one.
I see it. What about it?
Do you not feel it pulling at you, like we need to go there?
No.
Change course and follow me. We got to go check it out.
Hey, Admiral Stryker put me in charge today. We're supposed to be going to P3141 and P5926.
I got a feeling about this.
Master.
Look, kid, either you can follow Stryker's orders and go to P whatever, or stay together with your wingman.
I thought I was the lead today.
Yeah. Hey, do you see the freighter?
If you mean the one swarming with fires around it, yeah, it's pretty hard to miss.
I feel like we need to capture it. Cover me.
Found that I had a mistake in the arrival condition for the second master unit, as I had left his arrival condition as the challenge, so instead of arriving in Region 2 via hyperspace, he was spawning from the ISD in Region 1. Fix that, and then fix the return buoy to not appear until later in the mission. And that the first unit would peel off to fly towards the eventual location of the hyperbuoy. If the player knows to follow Master the whole time, they can save themselves a bit of time. Added that Master was to dock with the freighter after all the enemy fighters are destroyed. Did more playtesting?
Pilots, please.
The master plan. A route.
Let's get going on this patrol.
All right, kid. On your wing. Hey, Jagged. Do you feel that?
Feel what?
That nebula to the right of our heading, the blue and pink one.
I see it. What about it?
Do you not feel it pulling at you, like we need to go there?
No.
Change course and follow me. We got to go check it out.
Hey, Admiral Stryker put me in charge today. We're supposed to be going to P3141 and P5926.
I got a feeling about this.
Master.
Look kid, either you can follow Stryker's orders and go to P whatever or stay together with your wingman.
I thought I was the lead today. Whoa.
Yeah. Hey, do you see the freighter?
If you mean the one swarming with fires around it. Yeah, it's pretty hard to miss.
I feel like we need to capture it. Cover me.
What? I feel like some of those fires might take an issue with you trying to walk off with their charge.
You worry too much. We got this.
Why did Stryker have to send him out with me on my first mission as lead?
Found that I had too many enemy fighters and they would overwhelm the player, so reduced the enemy numbers from 16 in space at once to 8.
Let's get going on this patrol.
All right, kid, on your wing. Hey, Jagged, do you feel that?
Feel what?
That nebula to the right of our heading, the blue and pink one.
I see it. What about it?
Do you not feel it pulling at you, like we need to go there?
No.
Change course and follow me. We got to go check it out.
Hey, Admiral Stryker put me in charge today. We're supposed to be going to P3141 and P5926.
I got a feeling about this.
Master.
Look kid, either you can follow Stryker's orders and go to P whatever or stay together with your wingman.
I thought I was the lead today.
Also took advantage of
Yeah.
letting Master
Hey, do you
lead the
see
way
the
into
freighter?
combat so that not all 8 enemy fighters are
If
targeting
you
me
mean
at the
one
same
swarming
time.
with fires around it. Yeah, it's pretty hard to miss.
I feel like we need to capture it. Cover me.
What? I feel like some of those fighters might take an issue with you trying to walk off with their charge.
You worry too much. We got this.
Why did Stryker have to send him out with me on my first mission as lead?
At that time, someone jumped back on the stream.
Sorry, I'm just testing my mission that I made. Everything is working the way I want it to. I can't really hear you.
Okay, that is all the nearby fighters. I am going to dock with it and see if I can get her underway by myself.
Make it fast. I got a bad feeling about this.
Watched to make sure Master boarded the freighter like I wanted, but then it didn't behave the way I wanted it to.
Got it. Let's get out of here.
Okay, that didn't work.
Now back to my lack of talking.
What didn't work?
The craft was supposed to change sides when he said the "let's get out of here" line. But it didn't change sides. But I have an idea of what happened. Let's give it a wait command. And 255. So yeah, and then say
I was asking if I could sit in here just for noise.
sure.
Thank you.
So let's see if that works. Everything else, I did not like. There.
I'm already on video 4.
Okay, let's see if that.
Alright.
This will probably be my last test, and then I'm gonna probably call it a night.
Yes, sir. I ran into a problem. So,
Let's get going on this patrol.
I understand.
Alright, kid. On your wing.
I basically fell asleep in my
Hey,
chair for
Jagged,
30 seconds.
do you feel that?
Feel what?
That nebula to the right of our heading, the blue and pink one.
I see it. What about it?
Do you not feel it pulling at you, like we need to go there?
No.
Change course and follow me. We got to go check it out.
Hey, Admiral Riker put me in charge today. We're supposed to be going to P3141 and P5926.
I got a feeling about this.
Master.
Look, kid, either you can follow Striker's orders and go to P whatever or stay together with your wingman.
I thought I was the lead today. Whoa.
Yeah. Hey, do you see the freighter?
If you mean the one swarming with fires around it, yeah, it's pretty hard to miss.
I feel like we need to capture it. Cover me.
What? I feel like some of those fires might take an issue with you trying to walk off with their charge.
You worry too much. We got this.
Why did Stryker have to send him out with me on my first mission as lead?
By the way, if you can hear me,
I can barely hear you, Warper.
I'm gonna do your lines real quick.
There.
Now that I'm tired enough. It'll give me about 5 minutes. Thank you for
Yeah,
pointing
Laura
out my
does-
headset.
Huh?
Thank you for pointing out my headset was messed up. She don't talk much.
No, she has a much bigger role in the next battle.
Oh, no problem. I don't remember where you sent that real quick. Oh, found it. I'm gonna mute myself, BRB, and take care of that and send them on over.
Okay.
That way you can tell me real quick if I'm right or wrong.
Okay, that is all the nearby fighters. I am going to dock with it and see if I can get her underway by myself.
Make it fast. I got a bad feeling about this.
Got it. Let's get out of here.
I'm back.
Yeah.
I got two choices. I don't know what sounds good. I feel stupid. Let me see if I can find him real quick. That's there, and then 1 second, I'll be right back. I gotta double check I can hear that one. Leader, this is 13. Picking up indications that we got
Let's
company
get going on
ahead.
this patrol.
Probably the garrison of a lunar
All
station.
right, kid. On your wing. Hey, Jagged, do you feel that?
Feel what?
That nebula to the right of our heading, the blue and pink one.
I see it. What about it?
Do you not feel it pulling at you, like we need to go there?
No.
Change course and follow me. We got to go check it out.
Hey, Admiral Stryker put me in charge today. We're supposed to be going to P3141 and P5926.
I got a feeling about this.
Master.
Look, kid, either you can follow Stryker's orders and go to P whatever or stay together with your wingman.
I thought I was the lead today. Whoa.
Yeah. Hey, do you see the freighter?
If you mean the one swarming with fires around it, yeah, it's pretty hard to miss.
I feel like we need to capture it. Cover me.
What? I feel like some of those fires might take an issue with you trying to walk off with their charge.
Got it. Let's get out of here.
I love the
Why
voice
did Stryker
acting.
have to send him out with me on my...
Why is that not working?
You guys did really well with it. By the way.
Well, so Masters is AI text to speech. The others are me. But yeah,
You did really well with it.
yeah. Let's see. That's not working. It's not wanting to kick out of the weight. Let's just do... regular weight. Maybe a circle command. Let's do a circle command. Maybe that's the issue. I just need to have it circling.
No, I'm trying to pitch my voice right. And let me grab some water.
Okay.
I'm struggling a bit to find out something different from the general without sounding too, what's the word, childish?
Mm-hmm.
But I think I got it. One of them is going to come out really Cali, though. Be aware.
We'll see how it comes out.
Yeah, let me try like one or two more because I think I got it. I just need to get it perfect in my brain, you know? Thank you for letting me work with you.
The Master Plan, a routine patrol. The TIE Corps has just finished negotiating with the Navigators Guild within the chaos of the unknown regions to map hyperspace routes for the Corps' patrols.
Let's get going on this patrol.
All right, kid. On your wing. Hey, Jagged, do you feel that?
Feel what?
That nebula to the right of our heading, the blue and pink one.
I see it. What about it?
Do you not feel it pulling at you, like we need to go there?
No.
Change course and follow me. We got to go check it out.
Hey, Admiral Stryker put me in charge today. We're supposed to be going to P3141 and P5926.
I got a feeling about this.
Master.
Look, kid, either you can follow Stryker's orders and go to P whatever or stay together with your wingman.
I thought I was the lead today. Whoa.
Yeah. Hey, do you see the freighter?
If you mean the one swarming with fires around it. Yeah, it's pretty hard to miss.
I feel like we need to capture it. Cover me.
What? I feel like some of those fires might take an issue with you trying to walk off with their charge.
You worry too much. We got this. Got it. Let's get out of here.
Alright, that worked.
Why did Stryker have to send him out with me on my first mission as lead?
Alright.
What did it take to fix it?
So, and I've forgotten this, of you can't, when you're in a wait command, it won't let you jump out of it, so I had to put it in something other than a wait command. So I just put it in a circle waypoints, but I gave it 0 speed, so it just stayed still the whole time. And therefore, it just did it.
That actually makes
Sometimes,
sense.
yeah, make more sense to
No,
allow it to not have to do that, but hey.
I sent you like 3, possibly 4 that, I don't know, it just like kind of fit.
Alright. I think I'm gonna call it for night for mission making. Let's see.
And I just tried the first line, so.